Today on You Heard With Nerds, we're talking about Batman news, the Animal Crossing Direct, our review of Clone Wars Season 7, Episode 1, and much more, so stay tuned.
Welcome into the podcast. I'm Brett.
I'm Dorian.
And we got some nerd news for you guys.
Sure do.
All right. So, we're just cruising along here in these weeks. I don't even know what week podcast. Is this 11?
This is 11, yeah.
Week 11. All right.
So we've been doing this for, almost 3 months now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, we got some things to talk about, some Batman news.
Sure do.
Last week we talked a little bit about the bat suit that was revealed.
Mm-hmm.
This week we got a little bit more information. It's kind of ironic that this is coming out around the time that they're kind of debuting the Robert Pattinson Batman stuff. But we got more information just kind of on the behind the scenes of Ben Affleck and him leaving the project, because essentially he was going to direct and star in this new The Batman movie.
Right, yeah.
But he left the project for his own reasons, and they had to kind of scrap that idea
And retool it.
Kind of retool. Yeah, and for what it sounds like, it's a completely different Batman, completely different setting, everything. And so kind of the reason for that is it sounds like, at least from others, like Ben Affleck himself and other friends' testimonies, is that his alcoholism was at an all-time high during this. He just felt a lot of pressure. Number one, because I think Batman vs. Superman and Justice League aren't easy movies to film.
No, they're not easy movies to film, and not to mention when you do put a lot of work and effort into that, even though I'm personally not fans of those movies. I mean, there was a lot of a lot of production, a lot of stuff that you have to, really invest yourself in order to make that that whole thing happen. But no, basically, when you do all that work and it doesn't pan out, or it just becomes kind of a joke.
Right. Especially when you're passionate about the character.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he cared a lot about Batman and comic books in general.
Yeah.
And so I know that part of it was due to they shot the films back to back.
Yeah, they did, didn't they?
And so I think once all the reviews and stuff started coming out for Batman vs. Superman, it probably got to him, and he was just like, "What the heck? How did I get myself into?"
Well, not to mention, it's hard to course correct when you are shooting back to back.
Right.
If you had maybe a year or two in between.
They could have done something different.
Exactly. Yeah, but
yeah, shooting back to back was a big no-no, big problem. But they talked about the premise of this movie, and now I think it was hinted at before. I think I've heard this news somewhere else, but just the concept of it got me really excited.
Yeah.
They're not going to be doing this concept with the Robert Pattinson Batman movie. It's going to be...
Most likely not, no.
From what I hear, kind of a year 2 or year 3 Batman. He's still kind of a newer Batman, but he has he's established a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But this Batman was going to essentially be the Arkham Asylum game, where you're breaking out of Arkham Asylum and he's fighting all of these bad guys that he locked up in order to get to someone or out of Arkham, basically.
Which initially I remember that Deathstroke was supposed to be...
He was. So I'm guessing he was one of the main villains.
Right, or the main villain here. Yeah.
Maybe the reason he's trekking through... Or maybe Deathstroke's the one that put him in there. Who knows?
Put him in there. Maybe it's an elaborate death trap to essentially kill off Batman. Might have a bounty on his head or something like that.
And the words they used to kind of describe this was very similar to the movie The Raid, which Dorian and I are pretty big fans of. And,
yeah.
It's a great action movie. It's a foreign film from Indonesia. For those of you who are ever wanting a nice martial arts movie that's pretty intense, check that movie out.
Definitely the best martial arts movie in recent memory, I would say.
Oh, for sure. But yeah, I'm kind of bummed we didn't get this.
No, and I'm still hoping we at least get this in some way, shape, or form. I mean, here's the thing. I would not be opposed to an entire movie just essentially taking the premise from the Arkham Asylum video game and just making that into a whole movie. I mean,
I'm surprised they haven't already because of how popular those games are.
Well, you have to figure, like, during the time when Arkham Asylum came out, you know, the Dark Knight trilogy was still happening. Then, you know, they decided to reboot, and then I mean, Batman hasn't technically gotten his own solo movie in the DCEU yet because it's mostly been a setup for Justice League this whole time. So, but no, that being said, I mean,
that's so weird to me. We live in a world where Wonder Woman's gotten 2 movies. Shazam and Aquaman are looking at their sequel movies, and we haven't got a Batman movie.
I mean,
for this stage.
I'm personally okay with that just because it's like we literally just got 3 Batman movies. Like,
I know, but like for me, and especially with what they were hinting at through these movies, like there was a lot of setup in BVS, especially for a Red Hood / Nightwing to show up.
No, there most certainly was here, and yes, I mean I will.
And we still haven't gotten a live action Nightwing, really.
Well, I mean, I think we have in Titans. I'm not.
Well,
caught
yeah,
up on the season,
but that doesn't count.
But in terms of like, you know, big screen, no, we have not. But no, that being said, I mean, no, I'm still holding out that some way, shape, or form this will play out, and like maybe it's like a fight scene or something like that, where you get like maybe a 10 or 15 minute fight scene in like a upcoming Batman movie. But either way, I mean, I'm still hoping that we get this in some way.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But no, I mean, kind of addressing like this whole like rumor mill. I mean, I think there might be a little bit more to it than like what we're currently hearing, because I mean, here's the thing. I mean, my going theory is Ben Affleck, writer and director, and he's shown that he's pretty competent at it. Like The Town and Argo were both good. That being said, I mean, I think when you're working with like somebody that is like, let's put it this way, like if you are working under a boss and you can do that boss's job, and you can do that boss's job better, but for whatever reason that boss is making those decisions or something like that.
I mean, that's life.
That is life, but I'm just
Until
saying.
you get there.
But I'm saying, like, you know, as somebody who knows how to like write and direct well, when you're being paired with somebody like Zack Snyder who doesn't know how to do those things well, I would imagine like that would be immensely frustrating.
Oh yeah, no, and I know that's definitely part of it. Like, I think looking at the fails of like how much work he'd have to do in order to like correct everything that's been done.
Yeah.
I think he'd have to pull back and like, I know there was a script and everything.
No,
like, that was already ready to go.
There absolutely was. And I think also one of the things was too, is like, you know, Ben Affleck was trying to, you know, essentially get like that superhero career where like, you know, he become like a Robert Downey Jr. or Chris Evans. And like, you know, essentially have like the next 10 years of his life taken care of. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I guess he could have, though. He could have stayed and just kind of went with this. Because, like, I don't know, like, there's no way that Robert Pattinson's going to be involved in the DCEU because it takes place during the 90s.
Right. I mean, unless they're going to do something like some digital effects to kind of age him up or something like that. But that might...
I don't think that's worth it.
No, I don't think so either. I mean...
So there's no Batman in this DCEU?
Who knows, man? I mean, I think that's going to be a question that the Flashpoint movie is going to have to answer, essentially, just because...
I don't even know if that can retcon it, though, because...
I mean, I think you kind of have to, because it's like, why else would you do a Flashpoint movie and not, like, retcon, like, you know, the things...
Like recasting Batman?
Yeah, recasting Batman...
So we're going to have 2 separate Batman universes going at the same time. 3.
Yeah.
Including the Jokers.
Yeah. Essentially, yeah. Which, I mean, is insane. But,
yeah. Okay. Well,
yeah, I don't know.
And more news on Batman. There's a mini series. Tell us about this story about Batman and Catwoman are having a baby.
Yep, they prego. So, yeah, so I mean...
Is this out of the Batman Metal series?
No. This is... Apparently, this is supposed to take place, like, during the mainline... like, the mainline series, but it's not, like... I don't think it's, like, a part of, like, the mainline series. I think it's, like, its own thing for right now. But, gotcha. I mean, here's the thing. So, obviously, for people who are kind of familiar with, like, you know... the comics in the recent years, you already know that Batman already has a son. He had it with Talia al Ghul, Damian Wayne. But no, so the thing with
Batman's just getting around.
yeah, but the thing with Batman and Catwoman. So I mean, they kind of already experimented with this idea a little bit. Like, I don't know if you remember that one show that was like early 2000s called Birds of Prey, where one of the characters in there was the daughter of Batman and Bruce Wayne, or Batman and Catwoman.
Oh no, I never watched that show.
Yeah, so I don't know if they're taking any cues from that. Probably not, but no, it's interesting just because this could eventually lead into like it becoming essentially canon, kind of like how Damian Wayne was kind of like an offshoot story for the most part.
And this is for the comics.
Yeah, for the comics. Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, there's no real concrete details going on right now. I mean, other than just like a teaser image, but that's all. But yeah, so who knows? We'll see how it goes.
All right, we're going to switch it up. We got some gaming news for you guys, and I called it. Persona 5 on Switch?
Maybe.
Okay.
I mean,
what do we got?
So IGN recently spoke with Atlas Communications manager Ari Anvikul. Sorry if I'm butchering your name, but the quote is, or the article says, "You want what you want," she explained, "and if you don't let us know, it's never going to be made, basically." And basically, the article goes on saying that the communications manager says that Atlas is listening and does see the desire for Persona 5 on Switch. It's important to let your voice and opinion be heard. Yeah, basically, she just kept on encouraging fans just to keep telling us
what they want.
Yeah. Exactly. So, I mean, this quote definitely seems like Persona 5 is going to be inevitable. And I don't
see why they wouldn't, because it's definitely doable.
Well, and here's the thing. Yes, it's absolutely doable, especially if you can get The Witcher on Switch. You can get Persona 5 on Switch. Matter of fact, I think Persona 5 is on PS3. So, there's really no excuse. But it's kind of one of those things where it's like, for the longest time, like I've always looked at Persona 5 and I thought, okay, the reason why this isn't coming to Switch, at least how I understood it, is because Sony has like a deal with Atlas to get like the Persona games on their platforms, just because all the other Persona games have been on Sony platforms for the most part, at least like the mainline ones. So I don't know. Maybe that might not be the case anymore. Maybe that license is expired or expiring.
Maybe.
Who knows?
I mean, a big factor of why I thought we were getting the Persona games was number one, Joker's in Smash Bros.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And number two, they were coming out with that kind of it wasn't redone, but
the Royal Edition
with like extra content and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, and they had that new game.
Yeah, Persona 5 Scramble, which is like essentially
a Dynasty Warriors style,
which is
beat 'em up, fight 'em game,
which is coming to Switch here.
Yeah, so that's what I was like, well, why isn't Persona 5 on here? That doesn't make any sense.
No, it legitimately doesn't. And I mean, honestly, yeah, it's one of those things where I think that it's kind of tied up with like, legal contracts or something like that. But no, I mean, I would have loved to have Persona on my Switch when I played it the first time, just because, you go to the laundromat, you're in line. Wherever you're at,
you can pop in, play a little bit,
because that game takes up a sizable chunk of your time here for sure.
It can,
and it's like, okay, I'm just gonna go through a couple days, get some things taken care of, and then I gotta go put in sleep mode and then go about your day, basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Persona 5 maybe on the Switch, and along with that, some Smash Bros. News. No new DLC after Fighter Pass Volume 2, ?
Yeah, so recently Sakurai had an interview with Famitsu Magazine. Basically, the quote is, when he was asked about, what's going to come after the second, Fighters Pass, he says, "There's no plans for more DLC fighters." So he also said something along the lines of Nintendo and him are currently putting their focus on the next Fighters Pass, which obviously makes sense here. But, so it's not a complete, like, say, no, this will not happen. He says, like, there's currently nothing in the works here because the Fighters Pass 2 is supposed to take us, I think, to, the end of 2021, roughly.
Okay.
In terms of release. So, so it could be just, one of those things that's a little too early on. But I really hope that this is not something that they are going to be definitively sticking with just because I really want this game to have, more longevity if this is going to be the only Smash game that we get for the next 10 years. Because
I'm guessing that's the case.
Right. Because, here's the thing. This game is like just a little over a year old here. And so if you're going to like end it, within year 3 in like today's day and age where you can like keep making updates to games and all that kind of seems like a missed opportunity. Granted, it's still going to be played at tournaments. It's still going to be, have its own community around it, but it always kind of helps to like bring people in and keep people in if you're providing them with new content. But
yeah. Okay.
But
yeah, it makes sense to try to get it to that 100, like but I don't know.
You're so close.
Yeah.
You're
What
close.
would the tally be after this pass?
I think it's going to be roughly around like 86. So
that's it's close, but that's a lot of fighters to add.
That's a lot of fighters to add, but it's like
over the next 10 years though, you could definitely do that
easily. I feel like here.
So,
just given like the rate that they're going.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that they're not going to do it. It just there's no plans right now.
Right.
Like they're probably finishing up working on this fighter pass. Maybe going to be working on a future one. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, and not to mention too, it's like, this is something that. Even like if Sakurai said, hey, we're not going to do this, there's absolutely no way. I would still take it with a little bit of a grain of salt just because he said the same thing about Smash Brothers for Wii U. And we got, I think, 4 or 5 DLC characters out of that here.
Yeah.
It said like there was not going to be any DLC characters, period.
He doesn't know. He's not in charge. We figured that out.
Yep, we kind of did. So.
Yeah.
But that's all I got to say about that.
Okay. And so for those of you who follow Nintendo, typically we'd have a Direct by now that's a general Nintendo Direct, but we got a Pokemon one in January, and we just had an Animal Crossing one.
Yeah, just Wednesday, right? No, it's Thursday.
Yeah, it was Thursday.
Yeah.
And so we both watched that. Now, here's the deal for me.
Yeah.
I could care less about this Direct. I don't care at all about this game.
Mm-hmm.
It might as well not exist.
Ouch.
Yeah.
So, no,
hard pass.
So, no, I definitely figured as much just because this is not a Brett game.
No.
And and that's okay because, the thing is like this game series, it's not for everybody, and like you have to you be an idiot to like suggest that it is here.
Right.
But so here's the thing. So with this Animal Crossing Direct, we got about 30 minutes worth of Animal Crossing news. It showed a lot more than what was initially revealed in E3, in my opinion. But here's the thing. I was initially going to pass on this game because you never played an Animal Crossing game, right?
No, I'm trying to. Didn't we play like mini games on someone's Wii U?
I think that was like Nintendo Land or something like that.
Oh, maybe it was that.
Yeah.
I don't know. No,
Yeah.
I've never played Animal Crossing.
Yeah, so
nor had the desire to.
Yeah, fair enough. See, I played the first one that came out on GameCube, and I played it when I was 10, and I got like really into it like during that time just because it was like one of those games that it's playing when you're not. It has a fully integrated calendar system that lines up with your with like the real world calendar.
Right. They were talking about the seasons and how your island's gonna change with the seasons.
Exactly.
Like, that's dumb. Just kidding.
But no. So it's one of the things that So when this game was first initially revealed at E3, I was just going to pass on it just because it's like, I'm like, oh, it looks cool, I guess. It's like, but I have like a lot more games that I would probably want to spend time playing and whatnot. But after this Direct, I don't know. I'm probably gonna end up picking this up anyway.
So what did it for you? Because this direct made me not want to get this game.
So, basically, like being able to customize and terraform your island, like just because that was like it's one of those things that kind of brings out the 10-year-old in me. Like if I saw that when I was 10 playing the original Animal Crossing, that would have blown my mind.
Yeah.
And just like all the little new bells and whistles that they've added to the
Sure.
game and all that. So
I can definitely see this being a game that like kids and like people who played it, it's a nostalgia trip.
no, and that's one of the.
But there's no story. There's no.
Not really, no.
It's just like you do stuff on an island that you can do like in real life.
It's a life simulator
Yeah.
/ like, you know, kind of town manager type thing.
Right.
So I mean, no, I get that, but it's a very like kind of laid back game for the most
Sure.
part here. I mean, you know, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you know, if you're watching like a TV show that you don't have to like pay like immaculate attention to
pop
detail,
that on.
you just pop that on type of thing or whatnot. But no, I mean, one of the things I think will actually probably draw me into this one is the nostalgia factor potentially.
cool.
So, but one of the things I want to bring up is like, so far, like you mentioned, we've only got 2 directs for 2020, and one was focused solely on Pokemon, like kind of like the franchise as a whole, not just you know, specific games. But then this one was focused specifically on Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
And so typically we would have gotten our, you know, big 2020 preview by now here.
I mean, we're already almost done with quarter 1.
Yeah, exactly. So kind of leads me to believe that probably our 2020 preview probably won't come till E3, which
That's halfway through the year, though.
yeah, so which basically I think means that this year is going to be probably by and large pretty slow year for Nintendo, but I think if they say, oh yeah, Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out in fall here.
Yeah, that'd be pretty big.
I think that's going to be like their saving grace here on that one.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. I think that's what they'll have to do to kind of stay competitive a little bit this year.
I absolutely think you are correct on that because I mean,
Or a new Mario Kart.
Yeah, no, Mario Kart would definitely draw the crowd in.
Yeah.
But
That might be next year. We'll see.
that might be next year. I mean, hard to say.
I think it's going to come sooner than we think because we haven't gotten a new Mario Kart on this system yet.
Yeah, not a completely new one. I mean, I'm really surprised they haven't like really updated like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe more, like, you know, because obviously they added the battle mode, then they added all the other, you know, add-ons that weren't on the Wii U, but they I'm just really surprised that they didn't like say, oh yeah, here's a new series of racetracks every year or something like that.
Yeah, I think that they might have started that, and that might have led into like a new Mario Kart potentially.
I mean, are they gonna do the Smash Bros. Ultimate treatment where like every racetrack is here? Or
Probably.
like
I mean, it seems like they've been doing that across the board when it comes to games. Is like this is the definitive edition.
yeah,
You don't need those other editions.
yeah,
Everything's right here.
yeah. So
We'll see. I mean, it's super weird to me that we haven't gotten a Mario Kart on this game on this console that's specific to the Switch.
I mean, probably just because Mario Kart 8 is still selling pretty well and still drawing in a pretty big crowd, but you have to think about it this way. Mario Kart 8 was originally released in 2014, I think, somewhere around there. So it's been like 6 years since we've had like a fully dedicated new Mario Kart sequel here on a console.
Right.
So
I don't know. We'll see.
yeah,
But I got some kind of Star Wars Lego news.
let's hear it.
This is exciting for me, and I'm not a big Lego guy, but this is a set I want. The Razor Crest from the Mandalorian. So the Mandalorian ship is getting a Lego set, which I thought was going to happen.
Oh, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
Anything like Star Wars and Legos are like this. Peanut butter and jelly here.
I mean, there's been rumors that like they haven't been performing as well, but that's because they charge way too much for Lego.
Yep.
But so I want to get the Razor Crest. It looks sick. You get like little baby Yoda, but then they have these brick heads, which are basically little bus
that
you can build.
Oh, okay.
Of like Mando and Baby Yoda,
Nice.
the child in his little carrier.
Did you see that that animatronic Baby Yoda?
I did. I was going to talk about that. Yeah, there's a $60 animatronic Baby Yoda that Hasbro's making.
For starters, here's the thing: $60, pretty reasonable price. I feel
for
like
animatronic
for an animatronic toy here for the most part. However, that thing just looks creepy.
It is creepy.
Yeah, it does not like
You know how many they're going to sell of those, right?
Probably
billions.
Probably
with a B.
Yeah.
But yeah, because we just had like a toy fair type thing, and they released like a bunch of Mandalorian stuff, which it's still super weird to me that it's taken this long to get Mandalorian toys out there.
Well, I think they said
we got some like
about
pop.
that.
Yeah, it was because they didn't want leaks getting out.
Right. Yeah.
But it's like, okay, like
I mean,
but you're missing like a whole
opportunity.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
You know how many toys they would have sold this Christmas if they would have put it out in November?
Oh, it would have been popping.
But anyway, that's it for our nerd news. We're gonna take a quick break and come back with our roundtable review. We are back from our commercial break. Dorian, take it away for some roundtable review.
All right, so first up we have Star Wars Clone Wars Season 7, Episode 1. So,
we back.
Yeah, so Clone Wars was canceled like
Yeah.
early 2000 or like 2013, I think.
Yeah, and then it came back to Netflix, and then it's been gone for a while.
Yeah.
And now we got a resurrected Season 7, which is the final season.
Yeah.
And the episode premiered. Today we're shooting this podcast on Friday. It'll come up Monday. Mm-hmm. So we watched it the day it came out. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, it was a Clone Wars episode.
That's my overall feeling on this here, because here's the thing: I'm not the biggest fan of Clone Wars. I've
seen all of it. I'm pretty sure, like except for maybe an episode here and there. I was pretty consistent watching it.
Sure.
I think the animation is a little bit of a step up. You could tell it's a little bit more detailed. Like they probably just updated it really subtly. I think the episode, like, there's no Jedi in this episode except for you see Anakin and Mace for a second.
Yeah, and all they're doing is just talking and going over battle plans. It's not like any action scene or anything like that.
But yeah, so there's full spoiler warning. We probably won't get too into it, but yeah. So they Rex and Cody bring in this new squad of clones.
Yeah, they call themselves the Bad Batch, I guess.
Yeah, they're also referred to as the 99.
Yeah.
Looking at them, I didn't think all of them were clones because they're all mutated.
No, they don't look
one way or the other.
They don't look really anything like the other clone troopers at all whatsoever here.
And they each have different abilities. So one guy has like enhanced strength, one guy has enhanced tracking abilities. Mm-hmm. One guy has enhanced intellect. Mm-hmm. One guy has enhanced. It looked like reflexes, maybe.
Yeah.
And then John Rambo is the leader of these guys.
I think that was the best part of the episode.
Yeah.
We have a Rambo clone trooper. He's got the headband, the mullet, and everything.
Yeah, it's pretty
great.
sick. But yeah, so. The most interesting thing, like, it was an action-packed episode. Like, it was entertaining. It wasn't anything crazy.
Yeah.
Ahsoka was not in it.
No, it's a very clone trooper focused episode.
Yeah, totally. It's 100%. And I thought that what was interesting was their helmets more than anything. They were more stormtrooper-like.
Kind of, yeah.
Sure.
At least like color scheme-wise and whatnot, yeah.
And just the shaping of them, too, looked like different kinds of stormtroopers. And
yeah.
So, essentially the episode's about, them trying to figuring out a friend that has been dead for a while is alive. Mm-hmm. But other than that, just a typical episode. It wasn't anything to write home about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm I'm still not really a fan of the art style of this show here, just because I don't know, it just doesn't appeal to me, and that's kind of one of the reasons why it's been hard for me to actually kind of get into this series. I've only watched
That's understandable.
I've only watched like maybe a season and a half of this show.
Yeah.
And a lot of the episodes too, they're kind of like very much like, I feel like play out like how it was when you were a kid playing with your action figures type thing. Here you're like, okay, now they're gonna do like triple backflip and then take out this tank and stuff like that. You know, I feel like there's a lot of that in there, and it's like, you know, I mean, if I was, you know, a kid, sure, I would love this show here, but you know, I mean, it's like you can only do so much of the same thing and not get repetitive after a while.
Yeah, that's true.
So, all right. So up next, if you are a Switch owner and you are on the online service or thinking about getting on the online service, this is a segment for you. So recently, 4 games came out for the February update for the classic library streaming service, or no, it's not streaming, but it's basically like the Netflix for old school Nintendo games for the most part.
If you buy your online subscription, you have access to it.
Yep. So one of the first games that came out, or one of the games that came out with this this newest update is Poppin' Twin B for the Super Famicom. So basically, it was never released here in the U.S. It's a top-down scrolling shoot 'em up, and it's got like a crazy aesthetic compared to like most shmups, because most of the time you're like in kind of like a sci-fi, driving a spaceship, you know, type setting.
Sure.
You know, just shooting other spaceships and aliens and all that. This is like you're in like going over like suburban areas, and they're like walking pineapples that are like shooting you from the ground.
There's a reason it didn't come out in America.
Yeah, exactly. But there's also like a grape fighter ships or something like that. It's
interesting.
It's pretty weird compared to like, you know, your run-of-the-mill shmups here. But
what's a shmup?
A shoot 'em up.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
and the Super Famicom, for those of you who don't know, is the Japanese
name for the Super Nintendo. Yep.
Yeah.
So overall impressions, it's okay. You know, I typically like shmups, but this one just really didn't grab me. And I think one of the main things that it kind of detracts from the experience is there's a lot of enemies on the ground that are shooting at you, and you can't shoot them. So all you can do is really just dodge them. And, you know, like for like, if there was like only like a few segments like that, or if it was just like maybe like 1 or 2 enemies like that, that'd be okay. But
you can't do anything to them.
Not really. No. Well, I think you can do like your super move, but that's like limited in capacity. And that's when you really, really want to save it for the most part.
Sure.
And yeah, so I think that really kind of detracts from the experience here, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But the next game that came out is Smash Tennis. So basically,
is this a Smash Bros game?
I wish. I would have preferred that.
Just kidding.
So this is a game that's made by Namco. It's I believe this was a Japanese exclusive Super Famicom game. Basically, what it is a 1v1 tennis game. And
Pong?
I mean, basically with more graphics. But so overall, I didn't like it. I think the depth perception on this game is not great. It does not age super well. It doesn't teach you really how to play the game, because there were so many times where I would serve the ball and it says, "Oh no, that was a penalty serve." I'm like, "Wait, what?" Like it was in bounds. How is that like? How am I getting penalized for that? And then I finally figured out like you have to serve. You can't serve with the A button. You have to serve with the B button. I'm like, okay, why? And why wouldn't you tell me that if that was going to be the case here?
Right.
So It's also pretty hard right off the bat here. It really throws a steep learning curve, like right from the get go. And I think this is the worst game to come out of this update, personally. The next up is Eliminator Boat Duel. It's kind of like a lesser known game, I guess, on the NES, but it's made by a company called Electrobrain.
Like it.
So basically what it is, it's a boat racing game. And it's not bad. It kind of gives you like different perspectives from racing. So like you'll go into like one area where it's like kind of top down and you're just, navigating the course and whatnot. And then after that, you'll go into like segments where it'll like the camera will be like right behind you and you're just trying to like dodge what's like, coming right up ahead. You just see the horizon in the background, basically.
Nice.
But one of the things that I think makes this kind of unique is, especially for an NES game, is like in between races, you get to upgrade your boat with like the money you win from each race. So even if you like say come in last place, you still get money that you can like put towards your boat because you can like pick up like cash power-ups and stuff like that on the track. And the thing is like the controls, they're kind of janky, but for the most part they work. And I think this is one that had like a lot of ideas that were just kind of ahead of its time, because like the hardware that they put it on, I don't think was like probably the best suit for it. If this came out like on something like the Super Nintendo, I think you probably would have had a banger on your hands, to be honest with you.
Cool.
Yeah. And then last one on the list for the update is Shadow of the Ninja, NES game. It's made by Natsume. It's basically a Ninja Gaiden Castlevania clone for the most part.
Okay.
But it does have multiplayer.
Interesting.
And, again, not bad. Level design, a little bit bland, little samey, not a whole lot of variety there. But it plays decently. You have like a sword or a rope dart. So you kind of so you have like two styles of playing. You can like play more Ninja Gaiden way, or you can play more of like the Castlevania way where you have like a whip or something like that. But you can also get like, different power-ups. Like you can get one where it allows you to like throw 20 shuriken at people and stuff like that. Cool. And honestly, I was kind of surprised. Like this game doesn't really feel all that difficult from what I've played so far here. It's, I feel like it's pretty easy to kind of grasp, and, it's kind of generous with its checkpoints. I think it's a game that if you were a fan of like the original Castlevania or Ninja Gaiden on the NES, you should probably give this one a try.
All right.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So next up on the list, I've been playing a game called Nioh, which basically, if you guys are unaware, Nioh is essentially kind of like a Dark Souls, Bloodborne style of game that is set in feudal Japan. This was a game that came out before Sekiro was even announced here. So, and if you know anything about me, I'm a big fan of like the Dark Souls and From Software games.
Is this the game that we like saw that preview for a while back?
Oh, you're talking about like in for at E3 with that I think you're thinking of Ghost of Tsushima, I think. Yes, I am. Yeah, completely different game. So basically what this game is, it's it's really like just like kind of like a Dark Souls clone, but it's not like a blatant ripoff of Dark Souls, basically. So what I like about this game so far, I've only played like maybe one or two missions. The combat, it has a nice, good blend of like Bloodborne and Dark Souls combat. So you're pretty quick, but you also have like more of an ability to block things like you do in Dark Souls. It's not obtuse in its design. The Japanese setting is pretty cool, and it also has a lot of stuff to really actually differentiate itself from Bloodborne and Dark Souls. I mean, for example, there's a lot more of a focus on loot. You get special moves and techniques. There's a less serious tone, and it has like a stance system where basically you have 3 stances that you choose from at any given time. So you have like a high stance where, your weapon will be raised up and you'll do more damage, but you also take more damage if you're in that stance. You have a middle stance where it's kind of like where you're able to like guard more, and you do like moderate damage, so to speak. And then you have like a low stance where if you're in that stance, you'll do the least amount of damage possible with your weapon, but you'll be able to dodge a lot easier and it won't take up as much stamina.
What system is this game on?
It's on PS4, and I think it might be on the Xbox.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but no, yeah, so it also has more range combat integrated with it, which From Software games typically will have like range combat as like maybe just like a minor option or just like as a second idea. This one, it says like, okay, like among your melee weapons, you also have your ranged weapons that you have equipped on you at all times here.
Nice.
So I mean, the things that I'm not super crazy about is the hit detection. It can be a little wonky at times, especially when you're trying to do like a finishing move. The main character looks like a discount Geralt. He's got the white hair and the ponytail and all that. And I think there's a little too much loot drops in this game, just because pretty much every single enemy in this game, for the most part, drops either a weapon or a piece of armor. And most of the time it's like not really that great. So you kind of have to constantly be managing it and say like, okay, I need to sell all these things, blah, 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 all that. But overall, I mean, I think I like what I've played so far. I'm definitely going to be playing more.
Cool.
This is kind of the game I wanted Sekiro to be. Basically more like Dark Souls with a focus on, the Japanese setting. And I think it's also something that probably does appeal to like, people who are looking for like a Dark Souls or Bloodborne fix right now. And I think it's also one that could appeal to like people who don't really play a whole lot of From Software games, just because it's less obtuse in its design. I feel like in some ways it is easier to get into.
Nice.
But yeah, so overall, I'm enjoying what I'm playing so far.
Awesome. Well, that's all we got for you guys today. Thanks for listening. We greatly appreciate it. Make sure you check out our finale of our Dark Knight series. We're going to be looking at The Dark Knight Rises this Thursday. And so check that out. Check us out on our social medias at You Heard Nerds. And have an awesome week. Remember, everyone's a nerd about something.
The end.